Cairo's airport, anger and frustration as people try to get flights out of the country. Those able to get out of Egypt include some people from the Chicago area.
ABC7's Karen Jordan is joining us live with that part of the story now. Karen.
Well, Cheryl and Ron, the world has been monitoring the ongoing protests in Cairo, and this has been a difficult time for people here in Chicago with loved ones in the region. Some have managed to get out of the country, while others hope they can leave now that evacuation efforts are underway.
I've never learned as much or been so involved in such a world crisis like this before.
Ron Kelly kept a close watch on the events in Cairo the past week because his parents were there. Diana and Gaynor Kelly were on a vacation in the region and landed in Cairo just as violent protests escalated. They were stranded there nearly 3 days.
We started seeing more and more of the feeds from Cairo, and it really got out of control there. And that's when I think that we all started to really get concerned on our Chicago end.
Kelly says his mom and dad, 65 and 79 years old respectively, are experienced travelers, but he was relieved when they got a commercial flight out to Switzerland, all with the help of Egyptian tour guides.
Without their help, we would not have been able to maneuver the system. They waited for us until we got through security, and then if they saw the flight was canceled, they waited for us, took us to another airline, and this would go on all day in the midst of chaos.
The chaos continues in Egypt as thousands of foreigners are trying to escape the unrest. The U.S. State Department has already evacuated more than 1,200 Americans. Waiting for word on whether she'll get out is Regina Fraser, one of the stars of the PBS show Grannies on Safari.
It's been kind of, it's been really one of the most unsettling trips that I've ever had. You know, you leave the country and you think that although there seem to be protesters, that happens all over the world, and you know that you're going to be safe, but the draw of Egypt is so wonderful that you're going to come anyway.
Fraser is aware that the U.S. State Department has organized some flights out of Cairo. She's hundreds of miles away in Luxor, and she's waiting for word on how she and her group can get on one of those flights.
All right, Karen, thanks.
Gary, thank you for that.
Protesters waving Egyptian flags picketed in front of the Egyptian consulate in downtown Chicago today. Many Chicagoans with ties to the Middle East are watching developments in this story minute by minute. And ABC7's Eric Hong is here now with more on that story. Eric.
Karen and Ravi, several hundred people turned out for that protest today, and already organizers are planning another demonstration for next week. They hope, however, as do many in the Chicago area, that the violence will soon come to an end. At Alibaba Hookah Lounge in Albany Park, customers, in between sips of black tea, hands of Tunisian rami, and puffs of citrus-flavored hookah, are tuned into news reports from Egypt.
More people are losing their lives, and more people are being injured. And I just hope that everything settles down to the best interest of the Egyptian people.
Egypt is like peaceful most of the time, but like now it's like a huge war going on.
Akram Madbouli has a sister in Egypt and hadn't heard from her until today.
A lot of, things that if you don't know, then you just think the worst.
With images of the unrest being seen around the world, hundreds in Chicago today gathered at the Egyptian consulate on Michigan Avenue in a rally for change.
It's a very critical situation, and the government should look at the people of Egypt and their desires and consider that in their decision.
Today we spoke to one Chicago woman in the middle of the turmoil.
We looked up, and then running down a hill towards us, really off of a bridge, were hundreds of people, and we were afraid that our bus was going to be tipped over.
Regina Fraser is one of the stars of the PBS travel show Grannies on Safari and is on vacation in Egypt.
We don't know if we're going to be able to get out. We were hoping that things would calm down and we'd be able to fly out of here, but to be honest with you, we just don't know.
That feeling of uncertainty is shared by Hesham and Reem Hasabala of West Suburban Bloomingdale.
I tried to reach my grandmother. I wasn't able to get through, but my brother did, and he said that she was worried. especially now with the reports of looting. And
we empathize with the sentiments of the Egyptian people, but it's becoming a little bit chaotic right now. We didn't expect it to become that bad.
The Hasabalas and others with relatives in Egypt say it wasn't until today that they finally got in touch with their loved ones. They're obviously worried about future communications with the situation there still very fluid. Ravi and Karen, some told us they've had to put future trips to Egypt on hold.
It makes complete sense. We'll see what happens overnight.
Indeed.
Eric, thanks.